Yeah. One of the other ones is, what will my child remember?
Oh, such a good question. And of course, that depends a lot on your child's age. But
Right.
primarily, what they're going to remember is the feelings that they had during that time. If it
Mhm.
felt like a scary time, if it felt like a safe time. Some children are going to have the experience of having both of their parents home and available in a way that they are not normally and
Right.
able to focus on them, and they'll have very warm memories of this time. So I think the thing to keep in mind here, boy, and I sure don't want to lay a lot on parents because this is a stressful time for all of us in a number of ways
Mhm.
that families are being impacted. But that if we are constantly anxious and our anxiety is being expressed to our children, that's what they're going to pick up without truly understanding what's going on. Just if they're scared, it's scary, it doesn't feel safe. So of course parents have those feelings. I mean, I think we all are concerned about what's going on, what the future will look like. It's important to have a space for adults to go to be able to vent about their own feelings
Mm.
so that they have an opportunity to release some of this anxiety. And people are doing it in different ways. You know, if you're quarantined with a partner, you and the partner can make a time. In our own school, we're offering evening opportunities after kids are asleep for adults to get online and just vent about their concerns and fears. So, just as we want to provide an opportunity for our children to express their feelings, it's important for adults to create that experience for themselves. To remember, it's one of those, like on the airplane, you need to put the oxygen mask on yourself
Mhm.
before you can really be in good shape to get it on your child. So
Mhm.
self-care is really important during this time.
Mm. I totally agree. And I think it is, for a lot of kids, it is really nice for them to have both their parents home and to be able to see them more often than they would. And then something that comes up with that is well, most parents, they're both working at home. They have to get things done and they're trying to switch off. That's really tricky. Have any thoughts on that?
Boy, that is such a hard problem, isn't it?
Mhm.
Two adults expected to be at work online from 9 to 5
Yeah.
and small children in the house, certainly alternating. And I'm sure parents have come up with that. I think another possibility to explore, even during this time of quarantine, is to find out if you can find someone to help with childcare. And remember, this can be a mother's helper. It can be a 12-year-old. It doesn't have to be an adult because you're actually home during this
Right.
time.
Right.
Someone whose family is also quarantining and making the same limited contact agreements that you feel comfortable with, and bring them into your home at this time.
Mhm.
Because I think the amount of pressure that parents can be under when they're trying to manage both their job and their children simultaneously, it puts just such enormous stress on families. Not good for anybody.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wish I had a magic solution for that one because it really is a big problem. If only there was the pill, right?
I know. I know. That would be great. Um, Another one that's come up a lot is, my kid is not interested in Zoom play dates. They don't want to be on the screen. How do I make sure that they're able to see their friends and socialize?
Yeah, it is it is a real issue, you know, for adults. Here we are, Kate, you and I, two talking heads, and we're both perfectly comfortable
Mhm.
continuing just to have a conversation about topics that we're both interested in
Mhm.
online. It's different for small children.
Mhm.
And so many of you have seen, I'm sure, that your children all of a sudden are not willing to engage in those play dates with their friends. And first of all, I want to say that's okay. Those relationships aren't going to end because that's happening. But one thing that can be helpful, I think, is to set something up ahead of time so that they're not just on a play date, which they would be in normal circumstances. You wouldn't set up parameters for that play date ahead of time if they were just going over to each other's houses or meeting at the park, because they would come up with something interactively on their own, and that's actually our goal. That's what we want them to do. But in this instance where you're trying to help them figure out how to engage on something like Zoom, I think it's helpful to set up a kind of joint project. We're going to make pillow forts today so that when they get on, they can engage and connect around that play that they're doing together. That's already structured. They already have a format to fit it into. You'll notice when they're playing together, when they're interacting, they're usually not just standing there talking.
Yeah.
They're engaged in doing something together. And that's kind of, they need some help setting that up. So let's make pillow forts today. I wonder if your friend's couch has the same number of cushions as ours,
Mhm.
or if they have a chair that they could pull into this, or whatever. Give them a little structure, and that might help. It's not a surefire solution. I just as a side note, you know, it's been really interesting to me during the course of this. I'm in often several FaceTime or Zoom meetings a day, which is not any different than my normal schedule is. But what I find is that where normally I find that invigorating, you know, like I'm energized, I'm excited about seeing the people I'm going to meet with next and hear, you know, connecting with them and hearing what they have to say. Boy, at the end of the day, after a few Zoom meetings, I'm exhausted. It makes me really curious about thinking more about screen time and what it means, because just my own anecdotal experience is it's so different.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'd be interested to hear if there's any more research that comes out of
Yeah,
this at the end.
yeah, me too.
Yeah. Um, our last one was sibling issues, which is pretty broad.
Yeah, it is, and I'm sure people have seen a wide variation where in some instances conflict has increased. And even though that's hard on parents, it's okay because that's how they're getting the practice about working out conflict that we were addressing in our first question.
Mhm.
But the other thing that you may be seeing is that siblings now, kind of out of desperation, are building really much more intimate relationships. Their older children are having to compromise more about what kinds of games they're willing to play, um,
Right.
how willing, what level of play they're willing to tolerate from their siblings. And I actually think this may be one thing that when we're far out of this time, we might even see as a positive, that
Mm.
the level of intimacy is really has an opportunity to build and grow in siblings
Mm,
who normally would be off doing their own things.
mm, I like
Maybe
that.
next time Kate will get more specific questions about siblings,
Yeah, I'm
but
sure they'll come up.
that's kind of my general take on it.
Mhm. Cool. Well, great. That was the end of the list that we have. I think that was a really great way to start out. We kind of covered some big general topics that I think are affecting a lot of people. And then if we do more of these videos, maybe we can dive into each in more depth.
Great. And I just again want to remind Manhattan Beach Nursery School families and alums that we are here. We're all here and available.
Mhm.
And we are doing support groups and present online for you Sunday nights for current families and Tuesday nights for alum. And please feel free to drop in. And if you just need a few minutes to talk about what this is like for you, we really are here to listen.
Yeah,
Thanks, Kate.
definitely. Yeah, come in at the end, come in the middle, stay for as long as you want at those meetings. Well, thank you so much, Laura, for taking the time out of your busy, busy Zoom schedule to do this video today. This was great.
Thank you, Kate.